What's up, everyone? This is Tatum. I'm back with another episode of Off the Wall. For those that's new to my channel, Off the Wall is my segment where I like to go through my record collection and just talk about why these albums mean so much. To me and why they're in my collection to begin with. So today, as you can see, if you're not familiar with this cover, today I'm going to be talking about N.E.R.D. Seeing Sounds.
Yeah. Yo, it's been a minute.
Seeing Sounds is one of those albums that, well, N.E.R.D is one of those groups that I feel like they don't even get enough attention. They have like a cult following, that sustained them for the most part. Seeing Sounds, to me, it's always a toss-up between this and Fly or Die as my favorite N.E.R.D albums. The more I grow and the more I get older, though, I'm starting to lean towards Seeing Sounds. I just find myself listening to this one a little bit more. And look at this, man. This is just a dope cover. Look at the back of it. This album was released in 2008. That's kind of crazy. That was my senior year in high school. I remember when Everyone Knows dropped like that spring right before I got out of school and graduated. And I remember having the CD with the poster, and it was like them like floating in the sky like Pharrell. It was just a dope just album packaging and dope album. This is their first album away from Virgin. They were newly signed with a partnership under Interscope. And I just wanted to talk about how great this album is. I just, fan out a little bit. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Let's get into it. You know what I always loved about N.E.R.D? Not only that I'm just a huge Neptune fan, but the way that they blend rock and hip hop, like in their run, because you got to think this is four years after Fly or Die. So I miss N.E.R.D. like I said, I think they brought something different, especially for people like me. I always say that I'm glad that I grew up in the 106 & Park and TRL era. It was like I just got a balance of both worlds, and VH1 in the mornings and shit. But they were like that weird kid. You know what I mean? You had to be weird to get N.E.R.D. And they started the album with Time for Some Action, and but it sounds like the Schoolyard, and the album's produced very well. Obviously it's the Neptunes, but they do a different sound when they go into the N.E.R.D bag. Shout out to Shay as well. But Time for Some Action is like the first song I remember that the Neptunes kind of had a sample of that percussion. And one thing I'd always loved about Neptunes too, one of the things they did on this album a lot, but they would do these switches. So like in mid-song, it was very prevalent on this album. You go with Star from Some Action, they do the breakdown part. He does it on Everyone Knows. Well, they do it on Everyone Knows.
Baby, you partied all night in 6 kids.
And they just changed the course of the song. They also do it in Spaz.
I'll be laying in the ambulance bed with something in my arm.
N.E.R.D is like this rambunctious group. It's loud. It's you can't beat me, I'm a rock star type shit. So but their other side is like this core, calm, sweet kind of band, right? For lack of better words. So when they do those switches and it just strips everything away from the beat, and then it jumps right back into spaz if you want, spaz if you want. That's amazing to me. I remember I seen they were at Complex Con, I think, a couple years ago, and I listened to the N.E.R.D album. They were premiering it there. And just to see the vibe of that and see the experience of how people react and have a room full of N.E.R.D fans. I was sitting out there talking to people like, what's your favorite N.E.R.D? I never had that before. Nobody talks about N.E.R.D like that. Sooner or Later is probably one of my favorite. That guitar solo at the end is just, it goes on for 4 minutes. That shit is just next level. That shit is just so fucking dope every time. That's one of the ones that I want to see them perform live, just to see how crazy shit can get in there. I read somewhere that after Fly or Die, they were making music and it sounded like they scrapped it because they said it sounded like they were following a formula of N.E.R.D, and they was saying that N.E.R.D shouldn't have a formula. And reading that, when I was looking back on it, it made me think of their later albums. It made me think of Nothing. It made me think of the N.E.R.D album, self-titled album. The stuff that was missing from both of those albums. I think this was the last N.E.R.D album that was hands down just great. And that's coming from a N.E.R.D fan. The first Happy was on here. That's funny. Killjoy, I just love that. That vibe right there. That's N.E.R.D's bag. Love Bomb is fucking ridiculous. Probably one of the greatest Nerd songs ever, sitting here in this white padded room. My favorite songs come at the end. You know what always gave me that 70s skate rink vibe? Like I could just hear that playing in a skate rink. Laugh About is another one that's great. It had the fucking Everyone Knows remix with Pusha, Lupe, and Kanye in that video game video that Hype Williams did. I remember when that shit dropped. That shit was so fucking crazy. Like, that shit was so fucking crazy. Kanye coming off the graduation, Lupe coming off the cool. One of my regrets is that I didn't go to the Glow in the Dark tour to see Kanye, Lupe, and N.E.R.D. Like, and Rihanna was on that tour. It's fucking crazy. Let me get into my favorite songs. You know what? Everyone Knows and Sooner or Later. Worst song? Happy. Happy is the worst song. I'll go with that. Best line? This is my favorite line. One of my favorite parts on here forever is, like I mentioned before, is the break, that bridge on Everyone Knows. So it just goes like, baby, you partied all night in 6th gear. Just so you know, the AC is blowing over here. I won't blow your high talking about your life and how it is all wrong. Just know if you go outside and see the sunrise, because all the stars are gone. Killer. Straight killer. Let's wrap this up, though. In closing, when it comes to N.E.R.D Sing Sounds, this album is just so fucking great to me, man. I have to have this in my collection, or I wouldn't be like. My goal with collecting vinyls was that, you know, we always go for the classic stuff, but I wanted to fill my collection with the stuff that I personally just loved. Like, if you see my collection, you'll be like, oh shit, you got this, you got that. Like, just personal favorites. And look at the cover. Like, come on, dog. They got on the ice cream shit. Get the fuck out of here. Like, it's just dope. And like I said, it's the last N.E.R.D album that I felt was. It's the last great N.E.R.D album to me. I feel like with Nothing, like they say, they don't even like that album. They were going through stuff as a band, and a lot of the songs felt lifeless. You get Inside the Clouds, and that's probably like one of the best. Production was still great, but then you get the self-titled album, which I felt was too political driven, if that makes sense. I felt like it lacked the. This is gonna sound crazy. I felt like it lacked the love, sexy N.E.R.D records. Like, I think N.E.R.D needs those She Wants to Move, Lap Dance, Tape You, like even Hypnotized for what it's worth. Like, they need those kind of records. And that record, the self-titled album, didn't have that. This one had all those vibes, from the rock star shit, the slow shit, the skate rink shit, the hip hop shit, the however you want to go. This album had it, and the production is crazy. And I'm just glad I can sit here, talk on my platform about this album. Maybe if some people who never heard of N.E.R.D or heard of N.E.R.D but haven't listened to Seeing Sounds in a minute, go back and check it out and see how it holds up today. And after you do that, let me know in the comments with some of your favorite records. And don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's just keep growing this family. It's about that time I put this record back on my wall. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tatum. Peace.